Hey everybody, I'm here with IGL. I've got Stefon and Jarious with me. How y'all doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Pretty
Good.
good.
Kind of tired, but you know.
Kind of tired, yeah. We're at the end of a long day of some good hard esports here, I should say. We had a Fortnite tournament earlier. We got a Smash tournament earlier. And speaking of tournaments, y'all work for the Arlington Esports Arena, right?
Yes, I am the broadcast manager at Esports Stadium Arlington.
Ooh, there you go. What a setup. So let me ask you, how many tournaments have y'all been able to oversee and host so far?
So the grand opening for the facility was in November.
Mm-hmm.
We started out with Facet's ECS Championship Series.
Yeah.
That was our first event. After that, as far as major esports events, I think we've done probably somewhere around four-ish, 5.
Okay, yeah.
In that range. So not quite a year, about at the half year mark.
Yeah, you getting there, right?
But it's been a really interesting journey, to say the least. So.
Gotcha. You say you've done 4 or 5 events. What kind of games are we looking at?
So we've done Rocket League. We've done Dragon Ball Fighters. We've done it's a mobile game called Guns of Boom, Counter Strike, to name a few. We also do weekly local events for the local gaming communities. We do a weekly event called Rushdown for fighting games, and we do a weekly Battle Royale event called Stadium Royale.
Okay, man, I gotta call y'all for some names and stuff. Y'all got it on lock. So, if I can, I wanted to just try and get into some anecdotes. Which game surprised you most in terms of like how much work had to go into it, or what actually entailed like broadcasting it? Because I'm assuming for like stuff like Counter Strike, they got most of the information on the client, right? So it's just presentation from the show.
You'd think it was simple,
okay.
But so. The bigger part of like broadcasting a lot of your major esports titles actually comes into the workflow. The application is, I guess, simple, but so like in a game like Counter-Strike, you'd actually have observers and an observing team.
Right.
So think of it in the same regard you have cameramen in traditional sports.
Right.
So you will actually have a team of people who are in game, but they are not playing; they are merely observing.
Right.
And you also have a director specifically for that group of cameramen or observers. So that's something you might run into logistically that can get a little bit more complicated when it comes to producing like esports broadcasts.
Gotcha, yeah. And so I guess what's your most fond memory so far of working on a major esport event?
So funny enough, I think my most fond memory of working on these esports events at the stadium was probably when we did the collegiate finals for Rocket League.
Okay.
Because that was one of the first times we had like locals also participate in the event. So you had all these local colleges that were in the finals, and so like UNT and a few other schools from the area, and so people came from the schools to support their schools. So you had crowds versus each other and stuff. It was great.
Rivalries, all that.
Definitely.
Yeah, and kind of building off of that, how do you feel like having an esports arena in Arlington helps build that esports community around it?
Definitely. It definitely augments the surrounding colleges, because a lot of the colleges nearby have some pretty well-developed esports programs.
Right.
Even I think UNT actually offers scholarships now.
They do, yeah.
So I definitely think that gives those schools kind of like a proving ground, so to speak.
Right. A nice stage to display their craft, so to speak. All right. So I'm going to shift it over from Arlington. We'll talk about the events you saw today, right? Do you reckon with the amount of people that come out to these southern events that we could ever see like a traveling esports league between some of the Gulf Coast states?
I don't see why not.
Now here's a better question. Would you be willing to host all the Gulf Coast states in your house for a little while?
Would I be willing to host?
Yeah, like in Arlington.
Like here in Louisiana?
Or anywhere, yeah.
Or just anywhere? Sure, why not?
Okay, let's get a hypothetical. What you think?
So let's say if we were to go to something along those lines of like, I guess like traveling teams, I think what we'll probably come down to is it'd be cool to just kind of like each state have kind of like how we all have our own home stadiums for like football games.
Yeah.
Each state would have its own like stadium, or like not really a stadium, but like its own like home place where they would play at.
Home turf. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And so what would happen is as they travel to city, the players can just stay up in like a house or something, or like a player house, or like a team house,
right,
where they can all kind of like hang out for the weekend, play games when it's time to play games for serious mode, and then hang out in their places, interact, build community, maybe do like a few like videos, fun content together, and then when it's time for them to move on, they move on to their away place, and then they go to the next city. And
home and away games right there. Let's just imagine like 5 years ago talking about video games and home and away. People look at you like, what you mean? Why you ain't home? But I think with how esports have been developing, it's looking like localization is one of the big things going forward that's going to matter in the scene, particularly when it comes to like local communities and developing them, right? So I guess from somebody who has worked on an esports arena in a local community, what benefits does it immediately have on the community around it? What's the biggest one? Sorry, because there are probably many benefits. I don't know how much time we got for that, but give me the big one.
I really just think it's good as like a place where multiple groups can converge, right?
Right. Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you get to meet and network with other people that also have the same passions and interests.
Right. Yeah.
Speaking of localization and local community, we'll move on to that right now.
That's a great segue right there.
Oh, thank you. I study a lot of segueing,
There you go. You got your license?
Yeah. I took a 12-hour course for segueing, actually.
Okay.
But so speaking of community, here in Louisiana, we've just instated a new esports facility called Beatdown. It's located in Hammond, Louisiana.
Right.
It's going to be a hybrid of kind of like a game center for people who can come and just enjoy games, but also we want to push the entire training and educational aspect on esports.
Right.
So what we'll be doing as well is we'll be hosting classes and seminars, sessions where not just players but like parents or like community members can get involved and come learn more about the growing industry that is esports.
Yeah, it's a huge industry that kids, young people can make money in real quick, and it provides opportunities for scholarships and going to college, like. For parents, like I growing up, I played a lot of games. My mom's like, you won't ever get anywhere playing this. But it's becoming a legitimate career opportunity, a career path for some of these kids. Like, do you have any examples or do you have any stories about people who have come through and you've been able to change their minds on esports and video games in general with that?
A little bit. So I guess we have to go a little bit into our personal background to get to that, because we started off very small. So me and Jarious, my name is Stefon Williams, by the way. I don't know if I ever formally introduced myself. I am Stefon Williams, and I am the co-founder of what's called LVL482 Gaming. Jarious.
Ooh, there you go. Hit him with the title.
This is Jarious Holliday, and he is the other co-founder of LVL482 Gaming.
There you go.
LVL482, I should say, 482 Gaming. All started as a very small, I would even say not even really like an organization. It was just a group of friends. Right. Kind of like every team nowadays. It started with a group of friends. It was me and Jarious, and we decided, hey, we really like playing games, without even thinking about what career it could put us in or like where the industry was going. We're just like, we just want a place where we can play more games.
I want to keep doing this thing I love. Yeah, for sure.
Because back in Hammond, all we had was each other. I would go to his house, we'd play games all night, and that was it. And then after a while, you get tired of seeing the same person day after day, right? Like, I'm tired of you. I want to fight somebody different. I want to play against something
I need
else.
A new child. Okay, which one of y'all was winning the friendlies? Real questions right here.
I would say that it's probably me, but it usually doesn't last super long.
A rebuttal?
So we would go back and forth a lot.
Okay.
Usually we helped drive each other. What it would be was, one day I walk into the house and Jarious is winning and I can't beat him. Like, no matter what's going on, I'm like, man, what am I doing wrong? Why am I losing? And so then next week, I practice, I come back and I'm beating him. And now he's upset, but he's very quiet about it. So he's like, all right, that's fine, you're winning now. And then the next week it flip flops.
Yup. Hey, that's every great rivalry right there. How stars are born.
So basically, LVL482 started. We wanted to find a community basically that enjoys something we enjoyed. So what we did is we can't go to them because we were very young at the time. We were still in high school. Mm-hmm. So our idea was, let's bring them to us. So we found a local venue that will allow us to host tournaments, and we started by hosting monthly tournaments.
Right.
But back then we weren't even called 482. We were called Get Hype Gaming.
Get Hype Gaming.
Get Hype Gaming.
Was it spelled correctly?
It was all spelled correctly.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I've seen some like threes in there. And I'm like,
no.
Man.
We never got into the elite speak. It was all just plain English.
There you go.
So we started doing that, and then eventually we got the idea of maybe doing like a LAN center or maybe doing like a like bigger events. But we kind of just moved from doing events. Well, not moved from. We kind of, in conjunction with that, started doing production because we wanted people to see our events.
Right.
And if we're just running an event every week and no one's seeing what's going on, we can't really promote it very well. So after a while of us running events, we got in contact with a local community. The local community had their own events, so we started attending those events. Eventually, the person who was trying to stream those events stopped streaming them, and so we decided to we can stream. Why don't we learn? So
OBS is free.
Yeah. Well, at the time we were using XSplit. We started with OBS, but then we moved on to XSplit very quickly, and then eventually we committed to a license. Or I should say we. Jarious was like, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna get the license. So
Lock it in. Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of how Level 482 was born. And so what we are now as an entity is Level 482 is basically like a broadcast production company. We focus on streaming events. We help organize and run events. We also do consulting for other events if necessary. We're all about production. We have all of our own equipment. We bring it everywhere we go. We have done multiple jobs at different types of events, and that's kind of segueing into that kind of how Jarious was able to get into Esports Stadium. We were able to basically build a connection with multiple people in the community. They saw that we had skills that could be used,
right?
And now he's using his skills on a bigger level.
There you go. And so, from that, I think because one of the big new movements in esports is to develop these big buildings, right? Like Team Liquid just built their new facility that's got content houses and gaming centers and all that. And that sounds like we got that on a local level here.
Yes.
So my question to you is, how long do you think how long is it going to take before professional teams start kind of creeping in a little bit?
I think it's closer than we think, honestly. That's kind of why, I'm not going to say that's why we made Beatdown, but it's kind of that line of thinking that, eventually we need to be able to establish a system. And in order to have a system, we need a community. Right. We need people who are interested. We need support.
Right.
We can't, because even if big teams do start to creep in and there's no soul in it, the locals aren't going to it's not gonna they're basically gonna come to Louisiana, see Louisiana's dead, and then they're gonna leave, right? They're gonna
right. You gotta support the ecosystem.
Yeah, they're gonna put the money in. They're gonna see the ecosystem isn't that great, then they're gonna pull out because they don't think it's worth the investment.
Right.
So we have to make sure that as a community, we are doing what we can to grow the ecosystem so we can house these types because big esports isn't a bad thing, No,
it's not.
And so the growth is fine, but we have to make sure that we can sustain the growth within ourselves first. If we don't have anything going on here, then no one's going to want to come here and do anything.
Got to make sure the process is good,
Exactly. And so that kind of goes back to Beatdown once again. Beatdown, our goal is to build that community, educate people. People want to learn how to become better players. We want to help them. People want to learn how to get into the broadcast and the production. We want to help them.
Right.
If there are individuals who would like to just learn more about the industry, how they can maybe use the skills and talents they've acquired playing games or going to events, and how they can kind of positively use that to impact their life in a better way than just going and playing at events.
Real quick, do you have an example of one of something just if somebody's listening for the first time and they're like, I don't know what if he's talking about what benefits are there? So could you describe one of them briefly? Oh
yeah, sure. So I mean, I say with me and Jarious are our own living examples.
Right. Okay.
Because we started as just two kids in high school, not knowing anything. I mean, and granted, a lot of our skills that we've acquired are self-taught, but even though we're to take it away from a gaming standpoint, the skills I've acquired as far as being a part of Level 482 and running events and hosting events is I've learned a lot of business skills. I've learned talking to different hotels or venues, establishing connections with the managers and the leaders. I learned how to kind of become a better manager myself. I've learned management skills without even having an official management job. I've learned the skills of management. Jay's can akin to that. He's also learned some skills in that regard.
Can you give an example?
I mean, so I think one of the big things you take away when you try to dive into this industry from a working standpoint is logistics, knowledge of how logistics go, problem solving. That's the big one. Quick critical thinking. So there's a problem, we need to fix it fast. How do we fix it fast but fix it efficiently? Things like that, how to keep level head, that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. That's good life lessons right there.
Yeah, and in another way, a way that I can say that we've personally inflicted someone else's life is there's currently we like to call him a kid. He's not really a kid anymore, but when he first joined us, he was technically a kid. His name is Doza. He is currently sponsored by Crescent Esports. Crescent Esports is another organization here in Louisiana that is basically an esports team that goes around sponsoring different players for different reasons. Doza was one of their first big sponsored players, and one of the ways that they came to find out about him is because he was originally part of 482 back when we had our own team. Originally we had Team 482, which was less of an official esports team and more of just a bunch of friends repping a tag.
Right.
Because it was like a clan, basically.
It's like Team Solo Mid back in the way back in the day.
Yeah. But what happened is when Doza first got into the scene, he was just 18. He wanted to learn how to get better at fighting games.
Right.
And that's what we did. We did a lot of fighting game events. And so at first we just kind of viewed him as, this kid that just wants to play and get good. But over the years, we've played with him and, engaged with him so much that we've taught him different skills. Like not just, obviously there's some life lessons to be had in there, but I'm not trying to go, school special on us right now.
Yeah, we ain't going to save the tissue.
But he's learned, just fighting game basics, fundamentals, mindset. That's really important in any esport is mentality and mindset. Like knowing how to approach a problem, like Jarious was saying, being able to, because those skills you learn not just from running events, you learn from playing the games. Critical thinking, quick response time, level-headedness. That's all stuff that you learn over time. And he had a lot of issues with a lot of those problems. And over time, between me and Jarious counseling him on the games, he improved, and it kind of came to a head a few years ago at Final Round. Final Round's a big tournament in Atlanta.
All right.
He was playing in the Blaze Blue tournament. There's actually a really funny clip. He was playing against Dogura, who was a Japanese player who flew all the way from Japan to Atlanta to play in this tournament. He was the favorite to win the entire tournament. And on the winner's side of the tournament, he beat Dogura.
Okay.
He won.
Okay.
And it was really fun because he didn't even realize he won because he thought it was a first 3 out of 5 match, but it was only 2 out of 3, and he won 2-0. And everyone's telling him like, you win. And he's like, no, wait, stop. I got to keep playing. Like, I'm ready to keep playing.
Like he's still in there.
Yeah, he's still in the moment. And then eventually someone comes to him. He's like, no, it's over. And he's like, it's over? I won? And he like freaks out. It's great. If you can find the clip on YouTube, just search Doza versus Dogura Final Round. It's a hilarious clip. But that's kind of like where it came to here, where he finally realized like all of this stuff that I've learned is finally paying off.
Right.
It was all direct knowledge that Jarious and I was able to give to him and guide him that kind of brought him to that point. That's when he got more confidence in himself as a player and was able to put himself out there more. And that's how he's eventually able to land his sponsorship with Crescent Esports.
Right. So it's one of those things that's like esports helps people grow because not only are you learning these important life skills, but you're learning them from your peers. It's not like somebody telling you how you need to be doing this and this because you can just like whatever. But if it's this guy who just 3-stocked you and he's like, hey, you seem like a good kid, don't you gotta make sure you're thinking ahead. You're like, all right, man, I'll listen.
I'll take that to heart.
Yeah. You just whoop me, all right, cool, bet.
Yeah, it's not like your dad being like, hey man, you need to block more. Yeah. You need to make sure that you don't mash buttons all the time. Like, whatever, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. But it's that respect, that mutual respect from all of us. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Anything else we need on the outro? We good?
Any closing remarks?
Closing remarks from y'all?
Thank you.
Thank you.